G'day everyone, Duckville here. We're going to have a look at a custom game over on the Korean server. This is going to be a TvT between our blue Terran up here at the 12 o'clock position on Shattered Temple. This is going to be RexCreuz or Creuz? I don't know, man. Whatever. We'll call him Cruz because that's cool. And then our opposite Terran over here is going to be in the red over at the 3 o'clock roughly, and he's going to be named IU, a popular, very popular K-pop singer. Has gone look up the song Marshmallow from IU, and that's actually the letter I and then the letter U. It's a crazy song. But anyway, as we said, TvT here on Shattered Temple looks as if we're going to have just a supply depot up, standard sort of position in there for IU. Meanwhile, Cruz over here is going to be setting up a soft wall. It looks like. Wow, my whole brain is not actually working here today, but we'll see what happens. The TvT is very interesting at the moment. There are all sorts of things happening. You can see, obviously, you guys have hopefully been watching at the GSL. We've seen some amazing games of TvT, particularly involving MVP, who of course seems to be the master of Terran at the current state of the game. We've seen all sorts of things. We've got the various bio styles where you have the Marauder Marine medevac and that sort of thing, and then you've got mech, of course, which is one of the big ones as well. Mech generally will mean that you are a little bit slower to expand from time to time. However, what you want to do with the mech is not actually extend too far, whereas bio is of course a lot more mobile, and with a bio army, if you can catch an opponent out who is actually meching, you can actually catch quite a lead and sometimes just win a game straight up. So we'll see what happens here. These guys actually, just both of them going very standard with their openings at the moment. It looks as if Cruz is just getting his orbital command up just a tiny bit ahead of IU. Meanwhile, the scouting going on has actually revealed that Cruz has just gone in the close spots for the moment, not actually seeing where IU was. However, with this SCV just scouting in now, the Marine, which will also just pick off this SCV, will be able to scout that Cruz is in that top position. Meanwhile, Cruz is going to try and actually cut off this SCV. It looks like he did. I thought he was actually going to send this SCV up to try and pick off the SCV of IU, but he's not actually going to. For some reason, heading down the south part here, looks as if Cruz is now going to scout out and actually find out exactly what IU is up to. He's going to see a barracks here with a Reaper on the way, the tech lab of course being there, and we've got just nothing too fancy here from Cruz. Looks as if we've got a perhaps a Banshee opening, the second refinery going up, the factory on the way as well, and we'll see what happens there. But have a look at what IU is up to. What is going on here? We have a hidden Ghost Academy down here in the trees. That's always where you want to build your Ghost Academy, make your own little tree house, and then you can send in some hidden ghosts. But we'll see if that is actually going to work out here from IU. The Reaper, meanwhile, is just going to check out what is happening here at the natural expansion of Cruz, and in fact, it's just going to pop up the top of the ramp there. We'll see a few Marines ready to rumble, and that will force the Reaper back for the time being. And we'll see if IU is just going to jump into the main base here. Perhaps prepared for that is Cruz, and indeed he is. Not going to let that Reaper get too far inside to see exactly what tech is happening. However, as we can see, in fact, there you go, we've actually got a scan going down just to catch. There was the starport there along with the factory, probably going to suggest that that the Banshee will be on the way very soon. A factory going up now. Obviously, IU is going to need to prepare for some Banshee harassment there. You've got to make sure that you've got either a Viking out or some other counteracting units. And as we can see here comes the Ghost. We've actually got one Ghost already is out at the moment. You know what I'm thinking? This could be, because of the close positions, this could be some sort of Ghost drop. And we'll see what happens here. But there is one Ghost ready to go here. The Hellion is now out for Cruz, and a couple of Marines are going to try and poke their way up the ramp. If they can get up, I'll be very surprised. The snipes are ready to go for IU there, and there you go, taking out all 4 Marines with those snipes, lining those up and just sniping them down. It's like watching what's that movie that movie with the snipers? I can't actually remember. But anyway, we've got, here comes the cloak for Cruz, along with the Banshee as well. The factory just hitting up its own tech lab, and here comes the, there we go, we've actually, there it is, the starport just on the way for IU. Now, we've got 3 ghosts out. They did use a little bit of energy. These 2 initial ghosts will be down just a tiny bit on their energy. They don't actually have enough for any EMP just yet, which will probably be the thing that IU is going to look to do once the Banshee comes across. EMP on top of the Banshee, make sure it destroys all of that energy, and then also reveals the cloak. So we'll see if that is going to be the plan here. Ghosts are actually a really good counter to early Banshees at the start of the game. You'd be surprised that people sort of like, why would you get Ghosts for that? You can actually use them, as I mentioned, for just putting down the energy on the Banshee, and then also taking them down with either just some random canister, what do they call it these days, canister rifles, which do the 10 damage to light, so it's not exactly something to be laughed at. But here comes that Banshee laughing at these SCVs, just poking away, taking down 2 kills there, not actually going to get too much done, and flying away now because those ghosts were on the way across. So IU sitting in a very decent spot at the moment. Here we've got a medevac and a Viking just about to pop out, so those are going to be able to help out in 2 ways. We're going to have the medevac no doubt, so there it is, the ghost coming along, jumping up into the medevac, and the Viking now is going to escort it just across the ridge here. The river is not a good place to be unsafe, and here comes that Banshee. Going to be able to do some damage now, given that the ghosts are out of town. Meanwhile, while the ghosts are out of town just sniping away at these SCVs, they can do a decent amount of damage here trying to take out this tank. They will be able to do a decent amount of damage there, but they're going to just have a fun time sniping away at all of those SCVs here. A second Banshee has just popped out for Creuz, so he is going to be able to do some damage with that. Meanwhile, back at IU's base, the SCVs have absolutely been decimated there. 16 kills on that Banshee, and here comes the Ghost back to town. They are a little bit damaged there from the tank fire, but here they come. Probably going to be able to put down an EMP, maybe. No, they're not. They used all that energy, of course, you crazy fool, Duckville. But here is just the outcome of that situation. We'll have a look at the workers killed. We've currently got RexCreuz with 20 worker kills to the 12 of IU. Meanwhile, that Banshee just did went down just over here over the river. So that's going to be the end of the harassment there for Creuz. But meanwhile, the turret's going to go up, making sure that IU is well prepared for any further Banshee harass. But let's just have a look at what Creuz is up to in his own base. He's got a few more SCVs, of course, with that slight lead that he took, given that the Banshee did a lot of damage. And he does have just a few Marines, a tank, we've got a Banshee, and of course the bunker just at the front there to make sure that nothing comes through the front door. So sitting in a decent spot, but hello, we've actually got another ghost drop inside the main. Tank not going to have any of that. Taking a shot at the ghost, going to need to be really careful there. Actually trying to take out as much as they can. They've gotten some more kills. That could be a redeeming amount of kills almost. In fact, yeah, it almost is. We've got 18 worker kills now for IU, so it's going to be something that will start redeeming the losses that he took. In fact, the Raven coming out now, not actually, of course, the detection of those Banshees if they come along again, but just healing up those ghosts while they were sitting in the main base there. Now going to try and actually do some more damage inside the main, and we've got Creuz just actually expanding now, taking that natural expansion, going to be able to head out there and perhaps get an economic lead here, but what he's really worried about is all of these ghosts just sitting off the side here in this Banshee, in the medevac, sorry, and they will be able to do a lot of damage as soon as Creuz actually moves out of the base. So gonna have to be really careful about that. And we've got a ping from one of the spectators that was in this game. We actually have a nuke building here, so this is going to be quite fun to see what IU is going to do with this nuke. Perhaps going to try and use it on some of these SCVs, maybe a drop up the back here once some SCVs transfer across, or perhaps if you can get away with getting over here, could be able to put a nuke down off to the side. But I'm thinking that these tanks are in beautiful position for the moment, but it looks as if the Banshee's going to have another look at trying to attack into the base. Here it comes. Obviously knows that there will be some detection around now, but actually getting inside and taking out the couple of those SCVs. But it looks as if IU's own Banshee is going to take some shots there. Those SCVs, the Marines, sorry, trying to micro as best as they can, but they're not going to be able to fully take down that Banshee. But of course, with a little bit of micro, you can keep them alive at just a tiny bit longer. Some great starter step there from Creuz. Meanwhile, the Ghost still hanging around in this medevac here. It looks as if IU is going to try and actually drop in the front here. We got one of every flying unit just about here. We just need a battle cruiser and we'll be good to go. But here comes that nuke drop. We've actually got a nuke just on the way here, trying to actually lure in the forces on top of these flying units. In fact, not actually cloaking the Ghost that was down on the side. He doesn't actually have cloak yet, but here comes that nuke, and there it goes! And that was a huge nuke, taking out all those Marines, taking out a tank, and I think a couple of extra Marines off to the side, damaging these Banshees here. These guys are going to be able to just walk through the base here. Raven coming inside, also putting down a couple of auto turrets. He is going to go down if he's not careful, but it looks as if the one Banshee up in the sky is going to be able to help defend at the moment. Looks as if the ghosts have gone down finally, but there is still a Banshee up in the sky for IU, just doing a lot of damage here now with 12 kills, and in fact, we'll have a look at the work account in just a second, but it's only this tank, the Viking, finally coming across to the battle there, taking out the Banshee before it could do too much damage, and in fact, protecting the whole base there. Just going to need to be really careful about that auto turret. If he goes too close, we'll be able to get shot down by the auto turret, which is not cool at all, but it looks as if IU has in fact expanded himself, and he's going to be just sort of catching up right now. As we can see on the workers killed, we've currently got 32 kills for IU. Beautiful position at the moment. Going to be able to actually try and push in. It looks as if we're going to have an attack. Some Marines in a medevac, it looks like, along with some Marines on the ground, a Viking up in the sky to help cover this attack. And here it comes. Going to have to be really careful though that there is one tank, two tanks still up on the high ground for Creuz, so just going to have to be a bit worried about that. But the SCV is trying to run away. They're not going to get too far. The Marines are going to be able to protect them from the high ground, but just still losing more and more SCVs. Meanwhile, back at the base, we've got IU just starting to crank out more SCVs, I would assume. Here we go. There's a couple just starting to pop out now. Mules are in effect as well, which means that the income lead, as we can see on the tab at the moment, will be absolutely huge for IU. Currently sitting on 26 Marine SCVs, I should say. 28 now, plus the we've now then got the 14 of Creuz. So Creuz in a very, very, very pitiful spot right now, trying to bring the orbital command back inside the main base. Of course, you don't want it to be out here where it's actually not doing anything at all, and when those SCVs could get sniped off again, that is not a good position to be in. But the problem is he's got no way to properly defend against this Banshee. Just coming inside, 3, 4 kills, maybe a 5th and a 6th perhaps, depending on the micro, but it looks as if he is going to be forced back. Marines just coming up through the mineral line, just making sure that that is protected for the time being. We've got one random Hellion. This is actually the Hellion from the start of the game, which is just deciding to come in through the front. Not actually going to get too far. These big groups of Marines are just hanging out, ready to rumble, and they'll be doing what they can. It looks as if the Ghost Academy will finally be found by Creuz, just actually picking that up in the behind the grass there, just having to get the Hellion there, which is actually quite interesting to see. Armory on the way from IU, so we're probably going to see either some air upgrades or perhaps a Thor. I would not be surprised if IU does something like a Thor drop, just something random like that, but we'll see what happens. Here comes that Banshee again, just poking in. Going to get a few more kills perhaps, but there are some Marines still off to the side. They're going to be ready to take down the Banshee if it gets too close for comfort, but here it comes, and in fact the Viking is now out. That is going to be the end of that Banshee harass for IU. And we'll probably see that IU will probably switch into something a little bit more different, and here it is. In fact, we're just going to have mass Marines, it looks like. We've got 4 racks with reactors, plus a 5th researching stim, which is just about done. We've got an eBay just about done with +1 to weapons as well. This is going to be a massive, massive attack from IU when he actually decides to move into the base. So we'll see what happens here. Taking out the gold, probably going to take this gold out, try and get this base up and running, and then attack with this Marine combo with the medevacs once that, and probably going to try and time it so that the combat shields actually kicks into effect when he decides to get inside the base. But let's have a look at what Creuz has to defend. We've got 3 tanks, one up here on the high ground. We've got a 4th that just came in, going to actually siege up himself, just sort of in a good position in the main, just covering some of the main and then also some of this low ground as well. Got a Viking to do a bit of spotting as well, of course, given that the tanks can actually shoot farther than they can see. Always a good thing to take into account when you're playing in a TvT, given that things generally, unless you're playing against IU, will turn into tank marine wars or just tank wars in general, something like that. But looks as if we are going to have this attack coming in from IU. Going to have to be really careful. I'm not sure if he actually knows about these tank positionings here. Going to have to be really careful, just sort of sitting out at the Zelnaga watchtower at the moment. Just now trying to push in. It looks as if there's going to be a drop. It looks as if, alright, so we're going to have a drop from IU, in fact, using a scan to pick up that there are some tanks on the high ground here. Now deciding to just go for it and actually just drop everything inside the main, taking out one of the tanks, the 2nd tank. There are 2 tanks still on the low ground, a 3rd inside the main, but that was just way too much for Creuz to deal with, given how far behind he was. Marines going down in a nice little conga line of dead people there, and that is a GG from Creuz. So crazy, crazy game there from IU, bringing in this ghost drop, sniping off all sorts of SCVs, unfortunately losing his own SCVs, but then pulling off a beautiful nuke, just actually taking out a lot of the forces of Creuz, and then just deciding to push ahead and get a victory. So great game there by IU, and we will see some more games up soon. Cheers.